Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to look at the T62-A and just talk about the tank in general and how far this tank has come in World of Tanks Blitz. So when I first played Blitz, when I was grinding the lines, now the T54 was the tier 9, was one of the best tanks in the game. It was one of the best completely. It was the Heat 54 because back then you could just shoot heat and you used to be able to pen anything and used to be able to do the same amount of damage. So the T54 was the tank that everybody wanted to get. So of course everybody was playing it. It was a tier 9. And then eventually you would reach the tier 10. Now, the T62 was one of my first tier 10s, but I sold it rather quickly, like almost instantly. Played a couple of games in it and sold it because it wasn't about the T62 back then. It really wasn't. It was all about the Object 140. Everybody wanted an Object 140. It was amazing. Now, if you look back to the first lots of like Twister Cups and it was all IS-7s and Object 140s. The 140 was the tank to get. But over the last few years, like Wargaming haven't really gave the Object 140 any love. They've kind of just left it. In fact, it's been nerfed. The heat pens on a lot of these tanks, medium tanks, have been nerfed since then. And they haven't really gave it much more love. However, with the T62-A, I mean, Wargaming, I don't know what it is about the tank, but they have just gave so much love to this tank, like completely. It didn't have any gun depression to start off with. The accuracy was just bulk standard, and now it has 7 degrees of gun depression, and it was actually supposed to be more than that, but Wargaming, I think it was supposed to be 8 or 9 degrees, but Wargaming changed it to 7 because they knew given this tank even 8 degrees of gun depression, it would just be stupid. It's got a very strong turret, 240 millimeters on your turret as well, so you can get quite a bit of bounces on your turret if you are hold down. And not only that, but you also have that 7 degrees of gun depression to go with your turret. And if that wasn't bad enough, or if that wasn't good enough, shall I say, it also has one of the most accurate gun in the game. So it's a Russian tank, and the Russian tanks are always known for shit accuracy. They've always been known for shit accuracy, but this tank is one of the best in the game. It's like Leopard 1, E50M, it's one of the best in the game. It's one of the most accurate guns in the game, and it's a Russian tank. You put that with your 240 millimeters of turret armor, along with your 7 degrees of gun depression, along with the speed of 50-60 kilometers per hour, and along with your 3,600 DPM, it does make an insane tank. Now, not many people, if I'm honest, doesn't really talk about the T62-A as often as they did when it was broken. It was I wouldn't even say it was broken. It was OP. All the stats were OP, and yeah, people nowadays are not really talking about the T62-A. But the T62-A for me is still one of those go-to tanks. If I want to go in tier 10, not just to play in tier 10, but if I want to play tournaments, the T62 is one of those because it has everything. It has everything. If you want an accurate gun, it's got. If you want DPM, it's got. If you want speed, it's got. It's got everything. If you want to go hold down, it's got that. Now, there are 4 Russian mediums. You've got the Object 140, you've got the T22, and you've got the Object 907. And of course, you've got the T62-A. Now, before, I would always say that the T22 was the most broken, which in a way it is. It's got insane armor. But yeah, I've always really preferred the T62 over the T22 because it has a lot more going for it. It doesn't just have the armor profile. Of course, it has the DPM, the accurate gun, the gun depression. It has all that. So personally, I would run it with calibrated shells, because you lose around about 200, just over 200 DPM, but you will need that pen. It will give you over 300. I think you've got a standard 300 heat pen, but you'll be able to get that to about 330 if you do run with calibrated shells. So I'll definitely recommend. I mean, you can see here, this game here, we struggled to penetrate the FV4202 frontally. It was red as hell, but they managed to get there. They managed to take care of him. It's now a 2 versus 6. A 2 versus 6. And what we're going to see here is Silent have the game of his life. And you can do that in a T62. Because like I said, you've got that armor profile when you need it. You've got that DPM when you need it. And you've got that mobility just to get around the map, run around, run away from the team, and just relocate into different positions. So they've now got it down to a 2 versus 2. There's a Jaegeru, and more importantly, there is the TVP. Now, the TVP is going to be the one to look out for. Even though the Jaegeru can do a big amount of damage, he's slow, and if you can take out the TVP, then he should be able to take care of the Jaegeru. He's got plenty of time. 4 minutes still left on the clock. Now, he's bounced 1500 damage, which you can do in this tank. If you are in the open, the hull is not that strong, and that is where the things like the Object 140 and the T62 will be a little bit better, because they have that whole armor. Now, the Object 140 is better for brawling, because you can go face to face, face hug tanks, and they do have sort of a stronger upper plate. But yeah, the T62 has a much stronger turret, and you can bounce a lot more in the T62, in my opinion. But a lot of you, I mean, I've made videos in the past where it's like, what is the point of the Object 140 when you've got the T62? But I do understand that people prefer the brawling tank. People will prefer the brawling tank rather than the tank that just sits, that can just sit there and on a ridgeline. But I personally prefer the T62 over the Object 140. But there are people that will prefer the 140 over the T62. It all depends on the playstyle and how you want to play the tank. Now, I absolutely love this rush here. He knows that the TVP was on a reload, so he chased the hell out of him. He absolutely chased the hell out of him. He wanted to get rid of him whilst he was on that reload, and that is exactly what he done. So now he is on his own against the Jaegeru. Now, the Jaegeru, as we know, is full hit points. He's not full hit points, so he can't take a shot. He needs to be very, very careful from the Jaegeru. But if he just go, even though the Jaegeru's got a lot of pen, if he can go hold down, then he may be able to even get a bounce from this Jaegeru. But he needs to be very careful. Is it worth risking? I'm not so sure. But again, because he's got that gun depression as well, he's able just to sit on this ridge. He does get shot, but the Jaegeru is doing the right thing there. He can't get the pen, so he decides to shoot HE. So he still does a little bit of damage. But unfortunately, with the DPM of the T62-A and that missed shot there, I mean, he had to go for it. He definitely had to go for it. He tried. Unfortunately, it didn't succeed, and that was a very, very, very nice win for the T62-A. And that is the kind of things that you can do with this tank. So over the years, it has seen some massive changes for the better. Hasn't really got any nerfs. It's all about the buffs for this tank, and it's still a fantastic tank on the battlefield that's just not spoken about as often as it was once it got them buffs. But let me know your thoughts on the T62-A. Is it a tank that you think is OP, or is it a balanced tier 10 tank? Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I'm Meadsy, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye. With